We walk into the theater knowing the rules of the monster movie contract where eventually the creature shows up and chaos ensues. But what happens when the film fulfills that promise, yet still leaves us completely cold? Perhaps the true problem is something far more common, far more fundamental, and unfortunately, entirely unavoidable. A monster movie often promises some things like awe, terror, mystery, and a tiny taste of the unknown. But from the moment the creature shows up, the film starts to lose its grip on the audience. Bear with me for some time, and I'll tell you why. Audiences think they want the monster, but what they are really chasing is the tension of not seeing it. Think about how fear actually works. Human brains fill in the dark with their own nightmares, a half-heard sound, a shape in fog. The monster becomes terrifying because we're forced to imagine it. The moment the camera finally gives a clear look, the viewer stops participating. The tension collapses. Many films blow their best weapon too early. They show the creature in the first act, linger on it, explain it, talk it to death, and drain it of mystery until it feels like a rubber puppet swinging its arms on cue. The second reason monster films fail is surprisingly simple. Monster movies think they're about monsters, but they're really about humans. The creature is only as interesting as the people reacting to it. If the characters are thin, if the dialogue is flat, if their choices feel scripted instead of desperate, then the monster might as well be a screensaver. A good monster tests human nature. A bad monster waits politely for the camera to find it. If the audience doesn't care who lives or dies, they won't stay for 90 minutes just to watch a creature eat strangers with no inner lives. Then there's the pacing problem. Many monster movies swing wildly between too slow and too fast. They stall the story with endless exposition, like scientists shouting about radiation or ancient rituals, then suddenly lurch into chaos with no emotional buildup. A great monster film breathes like a heartbeat. Tension rising, tension falling, moments of quiet dread before sudden violence. When pacing is off, fear becomes boredom. Viewers begin waiting for the next jump scare instead of sinking into the atmosphere. Once you started timing the scares, the movie has lost you. Another reason monster movies stumble is that the creature often has no thematic meaning. The best monsters symbolize something. Fear of the ocean, fear of contamination, fear of the unknown, fear of ourselves. When a monster is just big and loud, the audience gets numb quickly. They need a metaphor to hold on to. Even Godzilla originally meant something. Nuclear trauma gave the creature weight. Remove that symbol, and you're left with a lizard kicking buildings. Monster movies flop when the monster is disconnected from the story's emotional core. Then there's the problem of scale. Filmmakers think bigger automatically means better, so monsters grow with every decade. But scale is not the source of terror. A creature the size of a mountain is visually impressive, but not emotionally threatening. You cannot empathize with its hunger or understand its motives. It feels like watching weather, large, destructive, but fundamentally empty. The scariest monsters are the ones you can imagine standing 5 feet behind you, something breathing too softly, something whose footsteps you can hear. Scale without intimacy leads to spectacle without fear. Many modern monster films also collapse under their own digital weight. Computer-generated creatures are impressive, but our brains know when something isn't real. We evolved to read motion, weight, texture, and light. Even a tiny mismatch snaps us out of immersion. Practical effects had limits, but they felt physical. And that physicality made monsters believable. When CGI isn't grounded with real shadows, real props, and real physics, the creature floats through scenes like a video game boss. Audiences don't fear what they don't believe. Studio interference is another silent killer. Executives want wider audiences, safer scripts, and trailers that reveal the entire creature before the film even releases. A monster designed to frighten adults gets rounded off until it's marketable to teenagers. A complex horror concept gets sliced into formulaic beats. Reshoots soften the creature's appearance, marketing spoils its reveal. By the time audiences enter the theater, they've already met the monster. Familiarity is the enemy of fear. Then comes the expectation trap. Monster movies carry a burden. Audiences think they're going to see the next revolutionary creature. They expect a masterpiece of attention and design. But truly, original monsters are rare because biology has rules. If you break those rules too much, the creature becomes silly. If you stick to them too closely, it becomes generic. Filmmakers sometimes chase strangeness instead of coherence, and the audience silently judges every limb, every roar, every movement. If the monster feels anatomically confused or evolutionarily impossible without a reason, viewers reject it instantly. Fear depends on internal logic. There's also a simple economic truth. Monster movies are expensive. Creature design, effects, destruction, sound design, everything costs more than a grounded drama or thriller. To recover those costs, films aim for global appeal, which often forces them into predictable structures and diluted scares. They become more about explosions than terror, more about noise than dread. Big budgets push monster films toward big compromises. But the final reason monster movies flop is the one filmmakers rarely acknowledge. Fear is personal. What terrifies one person might leave another unfazed. Horror isn't universal, and creatures built for mass audiences often lose the very sharpness that makes them memorable. When a monster tries to please everyone, it stops haunting anyone. A great monster movie succeeds by understanding a single truth. We don't fear the creature. We fear what the creature reveals about ourselves, about the world, about the things lurking at the edge of our understanding. The monster is the doorway. The fear is what walks through behind it. That is the secret ingredient most monster films miss. They try to show us something unimaginable. But the monsters we remember, the monsters that last, are the ones that make us feel like the danger was never on the screen. It was waiting somewhere in the dark, where the lights of the theater don't quite reach.